Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive you requested into sourcing in Vietnam A&D, the impact of procurement technology.
Right.
I've been going through all this material you sent me, articles,
Yeah.
notes, and all that.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right into it,
Wait,
okay?
wait, wait.
Okay, so Vietnam first.
Right.
So it's a lot more than just bustling markets.
Right.
You know, one of your articles called it a rising tiger when it comes to manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
What really struck you about that?
Well, what I think is really fascinating is that Vietnam found a niche. They're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right.
They're really focusing on specific sectors,
Okay.
like electronics and textiles and even footwear. And the research points to their skilled labor force and competitive labor costs
Yeah.
as reasons that make them so attractive to businesses that are diversifying their supply chains.
So it's not just about cost.
Right.
We're looking at a focus on quality
Mm,
and sustainability,
right.
which is so important for so many businesses right now.
And it's becoming more and more important.
Absolutely.
And I think Vietnam is really tapping into that.
Yeah.
Because one of the sources you sent me actually highlighted a government initiative promoting green manufacturing practices,
Oh, wow.
which is a really smart move, I think, because
Yeah.
it aligns with this global shift towards responsible sourcing.
Okay, so it seems like Vietnam is really positioning itself to be reliable and ethical.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, what are some of the challenges that businesses face when sourcing there?
That's a good question.
You mentioned something about infrastructure before.
Yeah, you've got to remember that while Vietnam's infrastructure has been improving,
Yeah.
it's still a developing country.
Okay.
There can be bottlenecks, especially when it comes to things like transportation and logistics.
So here's the
And also, I saw in a couple of articles that the legal and regulatory landscape can be really complex
Right.
for foreign companies, especially if...
due diligence is key. You can't just jump right in.
No.
You mentioned earlier that Vietnam is attracting businesses wanting to diversify their supply chains.
Right.
Is this a trend? Are we seeing this global?
Absolutely. This is a massive trend. I mean, think about it. The pandemic really exposed vulnerabilities of
Absolutely.
relying too heavily on one source.
Right.
And companies are realizing that spreading their sourcing across different countries.
Mitigates risk.
Exactly. It's all about risk mitigation.
Okay.
One of the articles you sent actually mentioned this term, China plus one.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Where businesses are keeping some production in China, but they're exploring additional options.
Right.
Like Vietnam.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So far it seems like Vietnam offers this really unique combination
Yeah.
of cost effectiveness, skilled labor, and a commitment to sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, it fits into this bigger picture
Absolutely.
of supply chain diversification.
It's a very dynamic landscape, full of opportunity.
Now I see why you were so excited to do this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the where of sourcing.
Right.
But what about the how?
That brings us to our second topic, procurement technology.
Okay, you've got some pretty strong opinions on this, I can tell.
Well, it's revolutionizing the whole process.
Okay, well.
So just imagine trying to manage hundreds of suppliers across continents,
Right.
manually tracking orders, comparing quotes, making sure everything is ethically sourced.
Yeah.
It would be a nightmare. But with procurement technology, you can centralize all of that.
So it's like a digital command center.
That's a great way to put it. For your entire supply chain.
Wow.
Yeah, so think about platforms like SAP Ariba or Coupa.
Okay.
These tools can automate everything from supplier discovery to onboarding to contract management and spend analysis.
So it's not just about finding the cheapest supplier.
No,
It's about making smarter decisions overall
it is. It's about strategy.
and strategic decisions.
Exactly. Procurement technology allows you to analyze data, identify trends, and make informed decisions that optimize your entire supply chain. You can even track supplier performance, monitor ethical practices, and ensure compliance with environmental regulations all in one platform.
That is impressive.
Right.
But let's be realistic. Implementing new technology always comes with challenges.
Oh, of course.
What are we talking about here? What are some hurdles companies might face?
Well, the biggest one is often internal resistance to change.
Oh, interesting.
It takes time and effort to get everyone on board and comfortable with a new system.
Right.
And then there's the whole issue of data integration. making sure that the new platform connects seamlessly with your existing systems,
Yeah.
that can be a complex process.
And then just keeping up with technology.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a whole other beast, right?
It's like a never-ending race.
Yeah.
You need to be constantly evaluating new features and updates, making sure your system is evolving alongside the industry. But I think the payoff is worth it.
Yeah.
The right procurement technology can really streamline your operations, reduce costs, and make your supply chain more agile and resilient.
It can give you a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So we've got this incredible opportunity in Vietnam. We have all these powerful tools
Absolutely.
that can help us navigate the sourcing landscape.
That's right.
So where do we go from here? How does this all come together?
Well, imagine leveraging procurement technology to streamline your sourcing operations in Vietnam. Think about using these platforms to identify and vet Vietnamese suppliers, manage contracts, and track shipments, all in one central hub.
This is exciting stuff, and I'm eager to hear more.
Let's dive deeper in the next part.
Okay, let's do it. So we've established Vietnam has a lot to offer. A&D, that procurement technology can be a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But how do these two pieces really fit together? You promised a deeper dive.
Okay, well, what's really exciting is that procurement technology can actually help mitigate some of those challenges that we talked about earlier, like navigating Vietnam's infrastructure or regulatory landscape.
Give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you're a company that's looking for a very specific type of electronic component manufacturer in Vietnam.
Right.
Instead of manually searching through, directories and websites,
Yeah.
you could use a procurement platform to filter suppliers based on your specific criteria.
No.
You can even factor in things like sustainability certifications
Oh, wow.
or their track record with international clients.
So it's like a superpowered search engine
Exactly.
for sourcing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And it goes beyond just finding suppliers.
Okay.
These platforms can help you manage communication, negotiate contracts, and track orders all in one place.
So it's an all-in-one solution.
It really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and this is especially valuable when you're dealing with language barriers and time zone differences,
Right.
which can be common challenges when you're sourcing internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like procurement technology can really bridge that gap and facilitate a much smoother collaboration
Absolutely.
with Vietnamese suppliers.
It can.
But what about those logistical challenges? I mean, can technology really help with that too?
Oh, for sure. Some platforms offer integrated logistics features.
Really?
Yeah, so you can actually track shipments in real time,
Wow.
manage customs documentation,
Okay.
and even optimize shipping routes.
So you're removing a lot of the headaches.
A lot of the guesswork.
Yeah, and potentially saving money.
Right, exactly.
That's great.
There are a lot of cost savings involved as well.
Okay, so we talked about the challenges, the logistics, but there's another important piece of the puzzle here. Risk management,
Right.
especially in a global context. I mean, how can businesses use technology to mitigate potential risks?
Okay, well, that's where the data analytics capabilities
Yeah.
of these platforms really shine.
Okay.
You can use them to monitor supplier performance, track industry trends, and identify potential disruptions
Oh, wow.
before they even happen.
Before they happen.
Yeah, so for example, imagine there's a sudden spike in demand
Right.
for a particular raw material.
Right.
A procurement platform could actually alert you
Wow.
to this trend and help you adjust your sourcing strategy accordingly.
So instead of just reacting to problems,
You being proactive.
you're proactive.
Yeah, and you're making data-driven decisions.
That's powerful.
It is. It really is.
Okay, now let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
Let's talk about sustainability.
All right.
We mentioned that Vietnam is promoting these green manufacturing practices.
Yeah.
How can procurement technology actually help companies ensure that their suppliers are meeting those standards?
That's a really important consideration because a lot of these platforms actually have features
Okay.
that are specifically designed to track and monitor ethical sourcing practices.
Oh, interesting.
So you can screen suppliers based on their sustainability certifications. You can track their environmental performance. You can even get alerts if there are any red flags.
So there's that accountability built right in.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It is. And this level of transparency is really essential for building trust with consumers.
Absolutely.
Because more and more, they're demanding ethical and sustainable products.
Right.
And it also helps companies avoid reputational damage
Yeah.
that can come from, sourcing from unethical or unsustainable suppliers.
Right. So it protects everybody.
It does.
Okay, so it seems like procurement technology is playing a vital role
Yes,
in promoting responsible sourcing practices,
it is.
both in Vietnam AD globally.
Absolutely.
But I have to ask, what about smaller businesses? Those that might not have the resources to implement these complex platforms.
Yeah.
Is there a place for them in this world?
Of course there is.
Okay.
There are actually a lot of entry-level procurement solutions that are designed specifically for small and medium-sized businesses.
Oh, good.
So they offer many of the same core features,
Okay.
but on a smaller scale and at a more affordable price point.
So that's good.
So no matter the size of your business, there's a technology solution out there
Right.
to help you navigate the complexities of sourcing in Vietnam.
But with all this automation and digitalization,
Yeah.
what is the role of human expertise in this whole process?
That's a great question because I
Yeah.
think it brings up a really important point.
Okay.
Technology is a tool, not a replacement for
Let's-
human judgment.
Okay.
So while these platforms can handle a lot of the heavy lifting,
Yeah.
you still need experienced professionals to analyze the data, make strategic decisions, and build relationships with suppliers.
So it's about finding that balance.
It is, yeah. It's about leveraging technology but maintaining that human touch.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the benefits, applications
Yeah.
of procurement technology.
Right?
But can you give me some real-world examples?
Sure.
What are companies doing out there that really stand out?
All right. Well, one company that comes to mind is Patagonia,
Okay.
the outdoor apparel company.
Yeah?
And they're known for their commitment to sustainability.
Right, yeah.
They use procurement technology extensively to track their supply chain and ensure ethical sourcing practices.
They're really at the forefront of this, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
I mean, they've actually integrated their procurement platform with a third-party sustainability rating system,
Oh, wow.
which allows them to evaluate suppliers based on their environmental and social performance,
That's amazing.
which, in turn helps them make more informed sourcing decisions
Mhm.
and ensures that they're partnering with companies that share their values.
That's a fantastic example
Yeah,
of how technology can drive positive change.
it is.
Okay. What else? What other companies?
Another great example is Unilever.
Okay. The consumer goods giant.
Yes. They've implemented a global procurement platform
Right.
that's really helped them streamline their operations, reduce costs,
Okay.
and improve their supplier collaboration.
So both of these companies are really leveraging technology, not just for efficiency,
Yeah,
but also for sustainability and social responsibility.
that's right. Exactly.
Okay, so it seems like we've come full circle.
We have.
We started by talking about Vietnam as a promising sourcing destination.
Yes.
We explored the power of procurement technology.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing how they can come together to create
Yeah,
a more sustainable and ethical future for global sourcing.
absolutely. It's a really exciting time to be in this field.
Yeah.
We're witnessing this shift from a purely transactional approach to sourcing
Right.
to a more strategic and holistic one where technology plays a vital role in driving positive change.
This is a great note to end on. But before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that's top of mind for many businesses today.
Okay.
Risk management in a very volatile global landscape.
That's a critical topic.
It is.
Yeah, and one that procurement technology can play a significant role in addressing.
Okay, so let's dive into that in the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So we talked about Vietnam's potential, the power of procurement technology, and even how those two can work together to create a more sustainable supply chain.
Right.
But the world is anything but predictable these days.
Absolutely.
So how can businesses use these tools to manage risk in such a volatile global landscape?
That's where the real-time data and the analytics really come in handy.
Okay.
Like we talked about before, identifying those potential disruptions.
Right.
So imagine you're sourcing a key component
Oh.
from Vietnam,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, there's a political shift
Okay.
or a natural disaster.
That disrupts production.
Exactly. That would be a nightmare for any business.
Absolutely. A nightmare.
But with the right technology in place, you would have early warnings. You see, these platforms can track things like political instability, weather patterns,
Wow.
even social media sentiment to alert you of those potential risks.
So it's like having a global risk assessment team.
Yeah.
Just constantly monitoring
Exactly.
and flagging any potential problems.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so you're not just identifying the risks.
Right.
You're also developing contingency plans.
Yeah, so let's say your main supplier in Vietnam is suddenly hit with a labor shortage.
Okay.
A good platform could automatically suggest some alternative suppliers
Oh, wow.
who meet your criteria A and D, have that available capacity.
So you're already prepared.
Yeah, you're not just reacting to a crisis.
You have a backup plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've built that resilience.
That's crucial.
It is, especially in today's world.
You've painted a really compelling picture
Thanks.
of how procurement technology can help companies navigate all these global challenges.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, are there any limitations to these platforms? I mean, is there anything they can't do?
Well, we've got to remember, technology is a tool, not a magic bullet.
Right.
It can provide incredible insights and streamline processes, but it can't replace human judgment entirely.
Right.
You still need experienced professionals to interpret that data,
Okay.
to make strategic decisions, and to manage those relationships with suppliers.
So it's really a partnership
It is.
between human expertise and technology.
Absolutely. The most successful companies will be those who find that right balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about the ethical considerations? I mean, we've talked about using technology to promote sustainable sourcing,
Right.
but are there any downsides or unintended consequences?
That's a great question, and I think it's really important to approach this technology with a critical eye.
Okay.
Because, relying too heavily on automated supplier selection
Yeah.
could accidentally exclude smaller or even local suppliers
Okay.
who might not have the digital footprint to
Mhm.
compete.
Right. That's a good point. You can miss out on some real gems. So it's really crucial to ensure these platforms are being used to promote fairness and inclusivity.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And then there's data privacy and security.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right. These platforms have so much information
A lot of sensitive information.
about your business, your suppliers, and all that.
It's crucial to choose providers with robust security protocols
Right.
and ensure that that data is being handled responsibly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to have?
I think it's this. The future of sourcing, especially in a dynamic market like Vietnam, is really about embracing both opportunity and innovation. Technology is playing a transformative role, but it's not about replacing human expertise.
It's about amplifying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot where human insight and technological capability come together
Exactly.
to create a more efficient, resilient, and ethical global supply chain.
That's the goal.
Well, for our listener who's been exploring the possibilities of sourcing in Vietnam
Yeah.
and really considering the power of procurement technology, I think we've given them a lot to think about.
I hope so. It's such a fascinating field that's constantly evolving, and I encourage anyone who's interested to just keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing those boundaries.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.